Hello everyone and welcome to Werven's World and welcome to my How to Play Friday. Friday is a solitary card game made by Friedemann Friese and it came out in 2011. I do have the physical copy which I often bring with me to work trips so that I have something small to play in the evenings, and it's quite a fun game. The game itself is a deck building game. You might have played things like Dominion or Legendary, Arctic Scavengers, even Mage Knight. There's plenty of games around since Dominion kind of invented the mechanic, and deck building means that you start off with a deck and the deck is kind of bad and you want to increase the efficiency of the deck. So that means that you want to buy better cards, but you also want to kick out less good cards. So before we go into how the game plays, we should go into the setup. So if you start it up in Tabletop Simulator, it's already kind of set up, but of course if you have the physical copy, it won't be. Basically what you will have is 3 cardboard boards. One of them is for the hazard deck, and hazards look like this. They're double-sided cards, and on one side there's this green, yellow, red thing on there. These are the cards that you will be fighting. Basically you will make a deck out of it and you will put it here and shuffle them. Then you have your fighting cards. That's basically these cards. They have a green background and a fence, and Robinson Crusoe is there just doing nothing. And you make a deck out of this, shuffle them and put them on here. Then there are the aging cards. Basically throughout the game, if you're not being efficient, you'll age really quickly. And those are never good. Basically the aging cards are always bad. You have very bad aging cards, which are the gray ones here. And you basically just shuffle them, flip them over and put them here on this aging deck. Then you have the normal aging cards. There is one aging card that you normally take out if you're playing on the easier difficulties, which is the very stupid card. So actually in this game you can just delete it, but normally you just put it to the side and then you make a deck from it, you shuffle it and put it on top of this deck. So first you will go through the normal aging cards and then you will go through the very bad aging cards. Then there are the pirates, and at the end of the game you have to fight 2 pirates, so you already draw those at the beginning, so you know what's coming up. And then there are the phase cards. Basically you just put the red one on the bottom, then the yellow one, and then the green one, which now tells us we are in the green phase. You take 20 of these life chits, and then basically the game can start. However, this is just a basic setup of the game. You will, if you have the higher difficulty levels, you will have to do a bit more different things. For example, already putting an aging card in here, or you might start off with 18 life chits instead of 20. So you can increase or decrease the difficulty, and how you do that is in the rules. The way the game works is basically it's a deck builder, so you start off with quite a bad pile of cards and you want to increase the efficiency of these cards either by buying better ones or destroying cards that you really don't want. The way you do that is you have to fight hazards, so let's flip over to hazards. Then you can choose which one you want to fight, and if you manage to beat a hazard, you can flip the card and add this to your deck. For example, this would be a really good card to have because it gives me 3 strength and it allows me to draw extra cards. But in order to beat it, I need to have a strength of 4. The way I get a strength of 4 is by drawing 4 cards of my deck and then hoping that there are 4 strength in there. That's quite hard to do at the beginning because there are a lot of bad cards in here, so I'll just discard this one. So basically you always draw 2 hazards and then you choose one to fight and discard the other one. That's the first step. Then what you do is basically you draw 2 cards from your deck and flip them over to the left side of this card. And as you can see here, the second card actually gave me 1 strength, which is enough. So actually I can now add this card to my deck. So I discard all of these and now I have a better deck because now I have 1 card that has a strength of 1 as well as having a special ability in which I'll delve later. And that's basically how the game flows. Every time you pick 2 hazards, you discard one of them, looking at the rewards, of course. For example, here I could draw 2 cards for a strength of 1, and then I get a weapon, which has a strength of 2. Or I could draw 3, hopefully get 2, and then I get a 2 card, but it also has a special ability double, which can double the value of another card. So if I would play these 2 together, I would have 2 plus 2 plus 2 strength, which would be 6 strength. So this one is really nice, but it's also a bit harder to get, especially at the beginning. So you have to be a bit careful. Now, where the fun in this game comes is not necessarily winning these things, but sometimes you really want to lose them. For example, I can now put this one here, and I decide to fight this one. I draw 3 cards. Ooh, this actually worked. Okay, so this was actually a really bad example. So I will now... So these genius cards, there's not many of them. I think there's might actually be only one of them. I'm not entirely sure. But basically now I actually won this card. So I can put them back here on the pile. Now let's do another one. This one actually only needs a strength of 0, but this one here needs a strength of 5. That's a very dangerous one, but just to illustrate, I would draw 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I actually get 2 life, because that's what the card says, but now I'm failing this. So now there are 2 things I could do. I actually have 1, -1 is 0, -1 is -1, and I need 5, so I'm actually short 6. So what I could do is pay a life and draw another card, and I can do that as much life as I have, so I could draw all my cards and hope that I get 5 at some point, or I could lose this one, which you can do intentionally, which would mean I would lose 6 life because I'm missing 6 score because I'm at -1 at the moment, which would mean 1, and this is, I think, are 5. So then I have lost 6 chits, but for every chit I lose, I can destroy one of these cards, and all of these are bad. So I could just say, you're destroyed, you're destroyed, you're destroyed. This one I'm not sure about because it has 0 strength, but it gives me life, but I'm going to destroy it anyway now. And now I'm left with less life, but I'm also left with a more efficient deck, because this one goes back on my discard pile, and this one remains here. And so sometimes it's very useful to, on purpose, lose an encounter, because that means that you can destroy your inefficient cards. And, well, that just makes your deck so much more efficient. There are a couple of important things. First of all is, let's say I choose this card to fight. I need to draw 3 cards to get a strength of 2. I draw my first card and it's already at 2, so now I have enough. Now I can choose to not draw cards anymore, because that would save up some cards to use later, which brings me immediately to the next important thing, which is aging. Let's say all of these cards are mine and I've been fighting some more hazards and my deck runs out. I just discard it. Then what you do is you reshuffle the deck and basically put it back. But before you do that, as also the drawing here says, you need to take an aging card. Now, aging cards are not very good to have. Basically, you just put it face down on your deck. You don't know what the aging card is, and then you shuffle the deck and put it back, and game continues like normal. However, now just for the sake of illustration, I'll show you what this one is. This one is highest card 0. So let's say I'm fighting something and I need a strength of 5 and I get a 2, and a 1. This one will make the 2 be 0. So actually I have 0, 2, 1. And so instead of 5 strength, I have only 3 strength. So this is a terrible card. You have way more terrible cards. All the aging cards are terrible. Some are worse than others. So having those aging cards can be very detrimental. So let's go through an example so you kind of see how it all would work. I would draw 2 hazard cards, and let's say I want to fight this one to get the 1 strength and the copy ability. I now draw 2 cards. However, my first card is stop, so I'm not allowed to draw any cards anymore except by expending life. I do want to beat this one, so I expend a life and draw another card. This one has the destroy special ability, which means I can flip this one over. It counts as a 0 strength fighting card, but it doesn't do its special ability anymore. So that means that now suddenly I can still draw my second card, because remember, this card I drew by expending life, not because I was already allowed to draw 2 cards. So I draw another card. This one says that my highest card is 0. My highest card is already 0, so I don't really care. So I could now decide to expend some more life to really get this card. So I could do this, draw another card, and now I can see this is a -1. So now I have -1, but I need 1. So I'm actually missing 2. Now comes kind of the last rule I need to explain. I now lose this by 2. That means I need to spend 2 life chits. Normally, for each life chit that you use for losing an encounter, you can destroy a card. However, you can also destroy an aging card by spending 2 life chits. So because I had to discard 2 now, I can just remove this one from the game, so I don't have that in my deck anymore. So that's really nice. Do note, however, that you cannot expend more life chits on purpose. Like if I have a lot of aging cards here, I cannot just say, okay, I'm going to discard 10 and destroy 5 of them. That's not allowed. However, if you already have to spend 2, like I had to do here because I needed 1, but I had -1, I lost 2 life chits, and that means that I can either destroy 2 normal cards or an aging card. So that is basically the flow of the game. Every time you choose one hazard card to fight, put the other one on the discard pile, you start fighting it. If you run out of cards here, you will put an aging card in your deck, and you can age quite a lot of times. However, if you run out of this deck, you will see here what to do. You basically go to the next phase. So let's say I run out of these cards. They're all in the discard pile. Then we go to the yellow phase. And in the yellow phase, we basically just put these back here, shuffle them, and we start doing hazards again, just like always. However, now the hazards are yellow, so that means instead of 2 strength, I need 5 strength, even though I'm only allowed to draw the exact same amount of cards, and if I win it, I gain exactly the same card. So basically the game just got more difficult, which means you need to make your deck better and better and better, because once we run out again, we go to the red phase, and then we have to fight against the red threats, which are even stronger. Once we run out of that, then we go to the last phase of the game, which is beating both pirates. So at the beginning of the game, we drew 2 pirates that I now have to beat both. However, I can choose the order in which I want to do that. For example, here we go. I could fight this one. And that means that each face-up fighting card counts +1 fighting point. This means that I draw 10 cards, and all of those cards also give a +1, so I already have +10 basically. However, yeah, I need 52, which is quite a lot, but because of you have these cards that, for example, allow you to double the value of another card and so on, or copy the special of another card so you can double 2 cards, and so on. There's a lot of special abilities on these cards. You can actually get to these 52. So if I beat this one, then we have to still beat this one. And this one says only half of the face-up fighting cards count. Face-up aging cards must be part of this. So basically I am allowed to draw 9 cards, and only half of those actually count as actual fighting cards. The other ones don't do anything. So then I need to get to 22, which does mean I am allowed to spend life tokens to draw more cards in the hope to get to these 22. And if I manage to beat these 2 pirate cards, I won the game. So I am not going to go into all the details of all the cards, what they can do, but if you go to page 10 and 11 of the manual, you can see, actually if you hover over it and you just type 10, then you go to page 10, and if you type 11, you go to page 11. You can see what all those special abilities do and how you can use them to make your deck more efficient. So just a small recap of the game. Basically every turn you will draw 2 hazard cards and you will choose one of them to fight. Then you will draw the amount of cards that it says here, so in this case 3, and then hopefully beat this hazard. If you beat it, it goes on your discard pile together with the cards you used. If you don't beat it, then you will lose an amount of life equal to the difference between the amount of strength you have and the amount of strength that you need. For every chit you lose, you can destroy one of your cards that you used in that battle that you don't want anymore, or for every 2 chits you lose, you can destroy one of the aging cards. You can also use more chits to draw more cards in the hope of winning a battle. And then basically every time you run out of cards, you need to reshuffle the deck together with a new aging card and start all over. When you run out of these cards, you will go to the next phase from green to yellow to red. And once you run out of red-faced cards, then you will fight the pirates. And if you beat them, you win. And if you don't beat them, you lose. So this was my overview of Friday. So it's actually a fairly simple game to play, but there are enough decisions to make to keep it interesting, because it's actually fairly hard to win, so you can definitely get better at the game the more you play. So I hope you found this explanation useful, and see you next time.